Hello, friends. It's your good buddy Josh Davenport here with another Talking time-lapse video for RGBros. This one covering the comic Nature's Lookout, where we take an in-depth look at the life of meerkats and what they do with wonderful Christmas treats. Today's video, as well as all the other Talking time-lapse videos we've been doing so far, brought to you by the fine folks supporting the comic and these videos over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Josh Davenport. If you're just dropping by there, we got some interesting prizes for you at different levels. Some higher res comics, some process shots of the entire thing. You get to see different stages of the comic, pencils, inks, colors, at a much higher resolution than it's on the website, actually double resolution that's on the website. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you get the comic early. Try to drop some behind-the-scenes stuff on there. I got a couple little sketches I'm going to be dropping in there soon. And I'd like to thank the people who are supporting right now personally. Brandon, Dan, and Vivian, all three of you, your support is much appreciated. And thinking maybe we'll have some nice little extras coming for you in the next week or so. But what are we doing here? We're drawing a couple of zookeepers, which apparently to me, if you work at a zoo, you dress like the damn crocodile hunter. I mean, that's just what you do. I'm sure people who work at zoos, feel free to drop in the comments, or I could just go to the damn zoo, which I've done many a time. My daughter loves going there. She likes being in the reptile house, checking out the poisonous snakes. Hopefully that doesn't mean she's a Slytherin or a parcel tongue. I don't want to think I got the next coming of Voldemort living in my house. You know what I'm saying? What could be worse? Am I right? Am I right, folks? But speaking of the crocodile hunter, a weird thing, I was in the store the other day. I can't remember. I was just getting some random stuff, maybe some milk, some tea or whatever, and I'm on my way out. And there are the usual gossip magazines right up at the counter on the way out. And one of them said, and this is, it's only partially funny because the man is dead. But it said the crocodile hunter's death was a suicide. Because that's the way, if you're going to end up taking your own life, that's the way you do it. You want to jump out of a boat and force a stingray to jab a barb through your heart. That's probably the easiest way to do it. You're like, I could use pills, but it really wouldn't be in keeping with my character, right? And people were expecting, he's probably going to get eaten by a crocodile. No, what I want to do is get a stingray to kill me. It makes perfect sense. I can't understand the minds of people who go into those. They look at that like, oh God, the truth has been revealed. Finally. This crocodile hunter conspiracy has been blown wide open. Where are they? Where are the crocodile hunter truthers? Wherever they are, they've got their answers tonight. So if you're one of them, I hope you have everything you ever wanted. Yeah, here's this guy. I changed this damn meerkat's face like 4 times in this drawing. I got him with a weird grinchy smile there. I think his snoot was a little too pronounced, and I made it sharper, and then I took it away, and then it turned it up. And when I was doing this comic, I went online, I looked at some reference pictures of meerkats, and I was like, oh, I'm still not sure if I'm drawing these meerkats right. And so I was like, have anybody else ever, how often do you see people drawing meerkats? It's not that often. And then I remembered, freaking Timon from the Lion King's a meerkat. I went and looked at him, and I'm like, I never really realized it, but looking at pictures of Timon and actual meerkats, side by side, not putting down the people at Disney, but they don't, to me, it wasn't really like, oh yeah, absolutely. I think his ears were a little too doggish. Maybe they did that, Disneyfied it up a little bit, which they probably did, to make it more easily relatable. So people were like, oh, he looks like a cute puppy. What do I know? I'm not making that Disney money. Here we go. Gonna drop the head down a little bit. Go with walleyes. I go with walleyes anytime I can get away with it, to be honest. I probably enjoy doing that a little too much. Pretty happy with the way these two ladies worked out. See one of them here, the one with the gloves, because if you're handling poop shovels, you're going to want to wear a set of nice gloves. And you always got to make sure to keep your poop shovels separate from your other shovels. I think it was, Dan Sachero. Sachero? I hope I'm not butchering your name, Dan, because I got all the respect in the world for you, man. Who was saying the other day, commented on this comic about making sure you don't get those poop shovels mixed up with your regular shovels, and I could not concur more. There we go. Getting a little of that straight edge line action going on there. And if you look, there's a little Easter egg for people who've been following the comic for a long time. On the side of the food chum here, you might notice that the character on there is Sharkonus, the Tooth Lord, making a little cameo appearance. You can go back and check out. I think he's been in the comic twice over the past few years. So here he is making a little cartoon character. He's like the George Foreman of the shark world. He's probably got a couple other products out there we can work in at some point. Get these hairstyles down. I don't know where you're at tonight, but I'm here in the RGBros studio, which is just a room in my house, looking around. I got a bunch of little Batmobile Hot Wheels here, which for the most part are really cool. I found them on sale at Walmart a while back for like, $1 a piece. The only one that is really kind of disappointing is there's one that's based on the 1989 Batman, Tim Burton's Batman with Michael Keaton. Great movie. But the Batmobile in that one was excellent. That was awesome. But whoever at Hot Wheels designed the one from that, even though every other movie, they make it look exactly like the Batmobile from the movie for the Hot Wheels car. On this one, they were like, you know what? This one needs a little extra something. And so they made the front tires like 3 times larger than the back tires, which I don't know. It's been a couple months since I've watched the 1989 Batman. Maybe he's got monster truck tires on the front of the Batmobile. I don't remember that being the case, but it could be true. And if it's not, the hubris on this person who works at Hot Wheels who's like, let me improve this design. Let me just fix this up a little bit. You know what kids love? They love the monster trucks. They're going to want the big tires on here. They want it to look like a crazy reverse drag racer. That's what the kids are wanting. I know whoever designed this thing doesn't know from Batmobiles. I know how to make a Batmobile. I gotta tell you, there's been a lot of really cool Batmobiles over the years. I can't think of many of them that just look like total trash. I have to say that I was not excited about any of the Joel Schumacher Batmobiles. And not just because, it was Joel Schumacher, but because, like, everything else in that movie, it was like when you think Batman, slinking around in the dark, you got this freaking, what looked like a rocket ship mixed with, a penis driving down the street with neon lights blaring out of it in every angle. You're just like, they're certainly making an entrance there, Batman. And if that's your favorite Batmobile, you're welcome to it. I'm not saying it's wrong for you. I'm just saying I don't like it, and I don't buy it. I'd rather even go back to the ridiculous, super old school Batmobile that just looks like a weird old car with a bat face taped to the front of it. I'll take that over that thing. That was the one thing I was not a fan of Batman versus Superman, but the Batmobile was, it was not a bad design. It was pretty cool. Not the best by far, but, still an interesting design. Other things I got around the office, I got 1 or 2 Samus statues from Metroid. Those things are hard to find. I got to tell you, and you might know this from reading my comics if you have over the years. I got a couple about Metroid in there, and I've mentioned it in a few news posts and stuff. Metroid has always been one of my favorite franchises. Even Other M, which narratively was a disaster. I still played, and I enjoyed the gameplay, to a certain extent. It didn't really feel like Metroid, as much as any other game, but it wasn't bad. The Again, the storyline is total garbage, but the rest of that game was pretty fun. But I've got like a Samus bobblehead, it's more like a bobble torso from Metroid Prime here. I got an old action figure, and I've got the Samus amiibo. But it's hard to find Samus stuff. Like if you're a big Samus fan, there's not a whole ton of things out there for you. Like I think Good Smile or Figma did an action figure a little while back that, of course, was based on Other M. Why not make one about from Super Metroid or Prime? No, they had to make one from Other M, which again, the Other M suit's not terrible. Not my favorite. Wouldn't have been my first choice, but still, they made it, and it's a pretty cool rocking figure. I just don't got the cash to drop on, especially since apparently now it's out of. I was gonna say out of print, but they're not like printing out, action figures. So I guess out of production. So the prices on that have gone significantly up. You're talking about like $100 a piece. And when you got a kid and a family, you spending dropping $100 on an action figure. Sometimes it's not in the cards, and that has not been the case as of late. But hopefully one day I'll get my hands on one of those suckers. I don't know if any of you are in the figure collecting market. If you are, if you got a favorite, drop a comment about it down in the old comments section down there. I'd love to hear what kind of cool stuff you people like to collect. I got a little. I think I might have shown pictures of it on one of my feeds before, but I got on my desk here a Terminator from back, I think when Terminator 2 came out. They had action figures, and of course at the time it was the 90s. They were going to release ridiculous Terminators who were not in the film, so I've got like a gold T800 sitting here on the desk with crazy punching action, which just means there's two rubber bands in the middle of it that you twist the waist and it'll punch. And then I've got an old RoboCop from, I think the figure's actually from RoboCop 3, the worst of the RoboCop movies. Couldn't even get Peter Weller in that one. But I got him here. And the figure's still cool. He looks just like any other RoboCop if you don't remove the hand and put the weird super machine gun they gave him on there. Getting down to the coloring and shading phase here at the comic. Got to get those meerkat crotches shaded. Because if you don't do your due diligence on shading a meerkat's crotch, I don't know how many, there's so many groups you're going to hear from. The National Zoologist Society, for one. The World Wildlife Fund. All of them. PETA. They're very, very stringent about crotch shading on any animal, but meerkats especially are a touchy subject for them. Filling at the end. Let's see how far we're about a minute away from wrapping this sucker up. So thanks for sticking it out and listening to me ramble on about wacky action figures and meerkat crotches. I know I don't have anything better to do with my time than talk about meerkat crotches. I could go on for hours. I think I once wrote a dissertation on the wonders of the meerkat crotch, which you can read on my Wikipedia page that doesn't exist. So go there, create it, tell me what you put there. Hopefully you wrote a 1,600-page diatribe on meerkat crotches. I'd love to see it. And then I'd love to get the credit. Just credit me with it. Say I've got a doctorate in meerkat crotchology, which is a thing I just made up. But we're going to act like it's been science all along. Because what the hell? You only live once, right? But again, thanks for hanging out through this whole thing. We're fading out to the end here. So again, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for staying until the end. And I will catch you next week. Or maybe in a couple days. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a chance to crank one of these out over the weekend. All right. Later, folks.